Hi, this is Gus Vakowski, and in this short video we're going to be talking about McCulloch v. Maryland, which is one of the earliest Supreme Court cases in American history that's really going to define the scope and power of the national government. So let's start off with a little bit of a background. The first bank of the United States is going to be established as a central bank by Congress. And there's a debate whether or not Congress really even had the authority to do. Well, you had Alexander Hamilton, remember he was a Federalist who was arguing that the national government should be very strong and supreme over the states. He's going to say that there is a need for a national bank that is supreme. He's also going to be arguing that the national government should have broad powers, even if it's not specified explicitly in the Constitution, that of course the Constitution should give more power to the national government. Now, the opposite end of this is going to be Thomas Jefferson. He's going to argue much more for states' rights. He's going to argue for a narrow interpretation of the government's power. So he's going to be against this bank. He thinks basically if it's not written word for word in the Constitution, well, then that power really does not belong to the national government and it's going to be reserved to the states. Hence, our 10th Amendment, the Reserved Powers Amendment. So the debate over this was how much power should the national government possess? Again, this power for Congress to create this bank was not given to Congress explicitly in the Constitution. And really the basis for this is from an implied power. Again, it's simply not stated word for word, but when you use an implied power, you're taking it from another power and sort of just expanding it. Think about a rubber band. For Hamilton, he's saying that that rubber band is the Constitution, and you can stretch it, you can bend it however the heck you want. You can make any shape. Whereas for Jefferson, he's going to see the Constitution not so much as a rubber band, he's going to see it as a rigid ruler that does not bend, it is not flexible, and basically if it's not stated in the Constitution, Congress does not have that power. And he's saying that this new bank is an overreach by the national government, in particular Congress. So how does Maryland get involved? Well, the state of Maryland is attempting to get rid of the bank by taxing all outside banks that are not based in Maryland, and hence this first national bank is going to get taxed. Well, McCulloch, who was the head of the Baltimore banking branch, did not pay the tax. And what do you know? He gets actually convicted, and as a result, he's going to appeal this. Now, McCulloch is going to argue, once again, that a national bank is what you call necessary and proper. This is an implied power in the Constitution. Well, ask yourself, what is necessary and proper? Those are two very ambiguous words that can mean a lot of things depending on who's in power. Is it necessary and proper that everybody gets a car? Well, maybe if you're a socialist. Is it necessary and proper that nobody pays taxes? Well, maybe if you're a libertarian. It really depends. So for this argument, this is going to come out of what's called the Elastic Clause, which is, again, Congress can do what it sees as necessary and proper. Now, Maryland, on the other hand, is going to state that powers not given to the national government are given to the states, that the government has overreached, its power. And based on a 10th Amendment argument, as well as a few others, you could make the case that this right should be maintained by Maryland. So any power not given to the national government, such as making a national bank, is given to the states. So what is the ultimate decision? Well, it's a unanimous one. The Supreme Court is going to favor McCulloch unanimously under John Marshall. Does that name ring a bell? He should. He's the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And remember, John Marshall is a Federalist, and that means he is favoring a strong central government. So it's not all that much of a stretch that he's going to rule in favor of the national government. This decision is going to be based on two big clauses here. First, the Elastic Clause, they're going to buy that necessary and proper, that it was necessary and proper for Congress to establish a national bank. They're also going to utilize the Supremacy Clause. This is one of the earlier instances of the national government really flexing its muscles for the first time. This is going to lead to almost opening up the door to the national government getting bigger and bigger, because it's going to say that Maryland does not, as a measly state, if you will, does not have that power to tax the national government, that the national government is supreme, and if something is supreme, something below it can't tax you. So as a result, it's going to establish the Supremacy Clause, that the national government, the laws passed by the Congress, are going to be supreme to any piece of legislation the states pass. So this is a very big case, because this is going to increase the power of the national government. It's going to lead to the use of the Supremacy Clause, and especially the Elastic Clause, much more over time, as you will see through many cases in U.S. history, along with many acts of Congress.